Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. This video is part of the YouTube series that I am making called Zero to Hero Business Central. In this series, I already uploaded few videos on my YouTube channel. In this particular video, we are going to learn about variable functions in Business Central. When you run the code in BC, variables are initialized with their default values. For example, if you take an integer variable, it will be initialized with its default value, which is 0. For example, if you are working with text variable, the default value for text variable will be an empty string. So basically, there are a couple of functions that are available that can do operations on variables in Business Central. Like, for example, if you want to reinitialize or reset the values in a variable, then we can use clear and clearAll functions. There is a difference between clear and clearAll functions. Like, for example, if you wanted to clear the value of a variable, then you can pass that variable directly to clear function as a parameter. But if you wanted to clear all the variables in an object, then you can go for clear all. We are going to see the difference of clear and clearAll in the code also, so do not worry about that. Also, we are going to see evaluate and format functions also. If you see evaluate, you can use the evaluate function to convert a variable of text data type to another variable of another type. We are going to see how we can actually convert text variable into an integer by using evaluate function in code. And format function is basically you wanted to convert any data type into a text data type, then you can go for format function. And we're also going to see system functions. Basically, system functions are the function that you can use out of the box and you don't have to do anything to get these system functions. So there are a couple of system functions available. Like if you wanted to get the user ID, then you can go for user ID function. If you wanted to get the company name that you are currently in, then you can go for company name. And you wanted to get the date of today, basically whichever day you are in, it is going to give us the date of today. And if you wanted to get the time, you can use time. And you wanted to get the work date that is actually set in Business Central, we can use work date. We are going to see what is the difference between day and work date as well. So firstly, let me actually go to Business Central. Here I'm going to actually create one more action button called variable functions, and I'm going to write logic in that variable functions about these functions: clear all, evaluate, format, user ID, company name, today, time, and work date. So let us actually open our Visual Studio Code. In here I have employee setup page. So let me actually copy this and let me paste in here, and let me go in here and let me say this as variable functions. Variable functions. In here, let me actually remove this code. We are going to come back to this code later when we actually create our own procedure in employee operations. So let me go to employee operations, let me go at the end, and let me actually create one procedure. Let me use the procedure snippet to create an internal procedure, and let me call this procedure as variable functions. And now let me actually take this variable which is came by default called myInt, and let me actually give some value to the int. Let's say let me give 5, and now let me actually save this, and now let me actually print the value of that myInt. So I'm going to just say the integer value is myInt, and I'm going to print the value that is stored in myInt. So basically it is going to show us the integer value is 5. Now let me actually clear this value from this particular variable, or let me reset this variable to its default value. Like the default value is 0. So let me just do clear, and let me actually just pass my int, and let me actually again take this and let me put it over here. So basically we have initialized an integer variable and we are putting the value as 5, and here we are saying okay, the integer value is 5, but I wanted to reset the integer to its default value, so I am doing the clear. Basically it clears the values that are stored in my int and it is going to reset. So let me actually call this variable functions from here. Let me copy and paste this, and let me just call it from here. Let me publish this, and let us see how that actually works in the UI. So basically I have published it. Now let me go to my business central employee setup page, and in here let me click on variable functions. So first the integer value is 5 because this particular code is getting executed. This particular code is getting executed, and I'm going to actually I am now doing the clear, so it is going to clear and set it to default value. So the second time it should show a message the integer value is 0. So let me go in here. Now here you can see the integer value is 0. So basically if you wanted to clear any value in a variable, you can go for clear function. Now let us actually see the clear all function. The clear all function basically clears all the variables in a object. For example, we have employee operations code unit, and let me actually create one more variable that is actually belongs to this particular code unit, which is a global variable. So let me call my text, and let me say this as a text variable, and let me actually remove this local variable because clear all actually clears the global variable. So let me take this my text, which is a global variable, and let me actually put a value in my text as well, hello world. And what I am now going to do is I'm going to actually remove this line of code, and let me actually say message, and yeah, the text value is %1 my text. So basically I am initializing both the variables, my int and my text, and I am printing those values. Let me actually do the clear all now. Clear all, and let me again do this message. So basically it is going to clear both the variables, my int and my text, because those variables actually belong to employee operations code unit. So let me publish this and let us see that in action. Also in the next part I'm going to show this with local variables, and let us see how that actually looks. But first let us actually see how it actually works with the global variable. So let me go in here, let me go and refresh my business central once, and let me click on variable functions. Now here you can see it says the integer value is 5 and the text value is hello world, because we are printing both the values over here or showing it as a message. But here we are doing the clear all, and let me show you how it actually looks after clearing. Now here you can see the integer value is 0 and the text value is empty. So basically it is clearing both of these variable values which we have initialized over here. But let's do one thing, let's actually initialize these as local variables itself. So var my int is an integer, and let me take this and let me just do save. And now let us actually see, does this clear all actually clears the local variable values also? Actually it does not, because it only clears the variables which belong to the code unit. These belong to this particular scope, which is procedure scope, so it is not going to clear. So let's actually prove that. Let me do control F5 to publish, and let me go in business central, let me refresh this once. So let me click on variable functions again. The integer value is 5, the text value is hello world. So basically these two are printed. Now we are doing the clear all. Basically it clears this particular value my int, but it is not going to clear these values. But here we are actually referring to these values. So let me go in here, let me click on OK. Now you can see the integer value is 5 and the text value is hello world, because the clear all function did not actually clear the local variables, but it is only clearing the global variables. So that is clear all. And now let's actually go to our next functions, which are evaluate and format. So first let me go in here, let me just comment this particular code out, and let's do one thing. Let me just say my text, my wait, let me just do my text equals to 10. And here you can see my text is basically a text, but here I am as actually passing the integer value 10 as a text. So do not get confused. I am passing it as a text, not as an integer, because I have given single quotes. That means I am passing them as a text. But if I wanted to pass them as an integer, I have to remove those quotes. But when I remove those quotes, it basically says cannot implicitly convert type integer to text, because 10 is a type integer, but if I give quotes, it is basically a text. Now let us actually create this text value and integer value by using the evaluate function. So if I just use evaluate, the first parameter is basically a variable to which we wanted to convert, that is basically will be my int, and the second parameter is basically my text. So what it does, it basically converts the text value which is 10 into an integer value which is 10, but as an integer. So let me take this and let us actually see that. Let me publish this and let us see how that actually looks in the UI. So basically we are converting the text into an integer. So let me go in here. Let me go to my business central. Let me refresh this. And now let me click on variable functions. Now here you can see the integer value is 10. So basically what we are doing is we are converting the text into an integer. So that is evaluate function. And now let me actually show you guys the format function. The format function basically converts a data type into a text data type. So if I go in here and let me just actually do one thing, let me put in my int 65, and now let me actually do format format and let us see what it takes. It takes value, and that's it. Basically it converts that into a string. So let me take, and it actually returns a text, so we need to store that in a variable. So let me take this my text and let me put it over here, and let me do this, and let me just pass this my int, and let me take this code as well. So message, basically the text value of the integer variable is percentage %1. So let me now publish this. So basically what we are doing is we are converting the integer into a text. So let me go in here, let me refresh this once, and now let me actually click on variable functions. Now here you can see the text value of the integer variable is 65. Do not get confused, this text is basically of type text, not of type integer. So that is again the format function. Now let us actually see the system functions. System functions are very easy. Like if you wanted to get the user ID, you can go for user ID. If you wanted to get the company name, if you wanted to get date of today, if you wanted to get time, if you wanted to get work date, we can use. But the difference we have to see between today and work date. So let me go in here. Let me now comment this particular code out, and let's actually do one thing. Let me just do message user id is then %1. Let's actually use this user id. Now let me publish this and let us see how that actually looks. So let me go in business central again, let me refresh this and let me click on variable functions. Here you can see user id is admin, because the user that I'm currently is admin. I'm logged in as admin, so it is giving me the user id as admin. And let me comment this code. Okay, let me just do this thing and let me just say company name, and here let me modify this. Company name is this, and now let me just publish this and let us see what company name it returns. Basically it should return the name of the company that we are currently in. So let me refresh this and let me click on variable functions. So I am in Cronus International Limited. If you wanted to see the companies here, also from here also we can see from my settings. Here you can see I am in the Cronus International Limited. And now let me actually go in here. Let us actually see what is the date of today. So let me go in here and let me say today is, let me just use today. Now let me publish this again. Basically it is going to give us the date of today. And let me go in Business Central. Let me refresh this. Let me click on variable functions. Today is 020426, the day on which I am doing this recording. So today is 020426. And now let us actually see the other functions, which is time. So let me just do this. And now time is, let's publish this. And now let us actually see that in the UI. So let me go in Business Central. Let me refresh again. And now let me click on variable functions. Now the time is 4:06:23, so 4 hours 6 minutes. So this is the time at which I'm doing the recording, so it is going to show me the time. Now let us actually see the last function, which is work date, and let us actually see the difference. So today is basically given as the day of today, but work date basically gives us whichever the work date that is set in my settings. Like work date, currently it is 1/28/2027, so it should actually give me 1/28/2027 if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So let me go in my Visual Studio Code. Let me just change this work date and let me say work date is. Now let me publish this and let us actually see how the work date looks. So let me go in Business Central, let me refresh this, and now let me go click on variable functions, and here you can see it shows the work date. So today basically shows the day it is, but work date actually shows which work date that is being set in the settings in Business Central. So work date is set to 1/28/2027. That's why it is showing us 1/28/2027. So that's all that I have about variable and system functions in Business Central. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'll be uploading more videos in this particular series called Zero to Hero Business Central. If you don't want to miss them, you should definitely consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you.